Hello, we're in conversation with Bivusha Parajuli today, and she is a third-year medical student who is currently, like all of us, stuck at her home because of this pandemic and just waiting for it to get over. So without further ado, we're just going to jump into it and ask her, how are you doing today?
Hey Sam, I'm doing really well today. I'm so excited to be on this platform and to be talking to you. This has been the highlight of my week. I'm doing very well right now.
I'm so happy to hear that. So if I were to ask you to rate your feelings and your emotions on a scale of like 1 to 10, where 1 is a low and 10 is a high, where would your mood be right now?
It's like a solid 8, I think, right now, but it fluctuates. I definitely want to say I won't be at 8 all the time. There are days when I'm like a 5 or a 4, and there are days when I feel like a 9, and it just fluctuates. But right now I'm feeling pretty good.
So you're feeling like an 8. So what do you do on the days when you feel like a 4 or a 5? Like how do you deal with that?
Honestly, I think communication really helps. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
call up a friend and I'll talk to her about my feelings. And right now, everyone is going through a hard time. So it's just nice to know that you're not alone in this and to know that there's someone else that feels that way, or even if they don't feel that way, they understand how you feel. So usually I'll call up my best friends, and that just makes me feel so good. At other times, I'm usually just watching TV shows and movies, like all of us are right now, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
I do ebooks as well, and yeah, I practice a lot of like deep breathing. That has
Mm-hmm.
really helped. I just sit down in my room, put on some meditation music, and I just focus on my breathing. And I know it sounds so cliche because I feel like everyone's just like, yeah, you should meditate and you should like breathe and all that, but it really does help. It really does help, like, calm yourself down.
Yeah, it does help. I agree with that. So this seems like a very day-to-day activities, the list of things that you just said. So from that,
Yeah.
let's talk about how your quarantine has been going lately. How have you been, what have you been doing in your quarantine lately?
I've been cooking a lot. I've been learning new recipes,
Mm-hmm.
and I learned to cook more than I ever have in my life. So that has been really exciting. I've been reading a lot of ebooks, like I said. I've been reading a lot of feminist stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I have been trying to study, like, I won't lie, because med school is like, you're just going to forget everything in a month or two. So I've been trying to set aside some time where I can just at least revise, but I'm not like beating myself over it too much or being too hard on myself either, because I understand that this is a difficult time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am trying to study and just revise everything. But besides that, I'm just glad that I've been learning new skills. I learned to ride the scooter, which I should have learned a long time ago since I know how to ride the bike,
I
but
still
now I
don't know
have
how
the
to
time.
do it. So I guess it's
It's like,
fine.
yeah, I always thought I never had the time to do it, but now I have the time. So if I don't do it now, it's probably my lack of perseverance, right? So I was just like, I got to do it now. I have more time than I've ever had, and I did it, and I'm very proud of myself for that.
Yeah, I'm proud of you too. So, talking about the whole pandemic and the quarantine situation, how has it been like since the last 5 months? How has it been on your emotional health, your mental health, your physical health? Tell me about that.
It has been difficult. The first month was really hard because obviously it was all new to me, and I was supposed to give my second year practical exams prior to the quarantine thing, like literally a day before. That's when our university decided to, consider it lockdown, and I was forced to go home. So like just until a day before, I was like cramming up everything, you know, I had a pathology practical to do, and there was so much to learn, and I was under that stress, and all of a sudden they were like, okay, we're not holding the exams. So now there's this huge other stress because I had to travel in a plane, and there were people coughing on that plane.
Mm-hmm.
And I was scared, obviously, and I had a mask on and everything, but it was like this whole other stress of like having to travel here, and then knowing of the uncertainty and not knowing what might happen and all of that. So it was like, one stress was already there because I knew I had to give my exam anyway.
Yeah.
It was just postponed, it wasn't canceled. And then there was the stress of like COVID and the uncertainty. So the first month was really difficult. I was having a lot of anxiety attacks. I remember going to my roof. I love the view that we have from our roof, thank God. And just looking at like the city lights, and just like, you know, putting a hand over my heart because it was just being so fast, and I was just having so much anxiety, and it was hard, but I really did get used to it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
After the first month, and after just knowing that this might go on for so long, I got used to it. I found a lot more coping
Yeah.
mechanisms. I read this book called The Anxiety Workbook,
Yeah.
and that really helped. So yeah, I found more coping mechanisms, and it's been easier. I won't say that it's good, but it's been easier. I have a lot less anxiety attacks now, and
Okay.
I try to think positive. So.
Yeah. Those do seem like really helpful tools for now, like in a situation where there's like not much you can hold on to. So, talking about your
Yeah.
stressors, you are a third year medical student, and like from what we outsiders have heard, that like medical school is really, really difficult. And add to that a global pandemic. How do you feel about that? Like being a med student in the middle of a pandemic. What do you think about that?
Oh my God, I'm just like, I'm starting to forget everything I learned. It's like, oh my God, you know, if I don't study today, 1 week later, I'll forget everything. So it's hard, obviously. And plus, the one thing that's stressing me out more than anything else is like my med school curriculum is already 5.5 years. And with this being extended, it's going to get to 6 or 6.5 years. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to get a bachelor's by the time I'm like 26, 27. Like, it's just like my life is just gonna go by while I'm still trying to finish med school, you know. And
Mhm.
that's really stressing me out, the fact that my med school is going to be extended and stuff. So I think that's been my biggest stressor. And besides that, it's obviously like forgetting everything, and yeah, because it's a very hands-on field, right? You got to keep
Yeah.
studying, you got to keep doing practicals and stuff, and when you don't have any of that, you're just gonna forget everything, and that is not
Mhm.
good. So
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I wouldn't really know how to relate with that, but that does sound like really difficult to even an outsider. And talking about like being in a difficult situation, do you ever feel like you're plagued with negative thoughts?
yeah, I do. I certainly do. I feel like my mind keeps telling me, you know, like, you don't know if tomorrow your neighborhood's going to get sealed because of the amount of health workers we have in our neighborhood, and like maybe they'll seal it because of the COVID cases, and like you won't even get to go out to get food and stuff like that. So like my mind keeps making up these scenarios that could happen, but like, you know, they haven't happened yet. So it keeps making up these scenarios, and like, what would you do then, or what would you do if someone in your close family got it, and stuff like that. It just keeps telling me all these scenarios that give me a lot of anxiety and a lot of negative thoughts, obviously. But
Yeah.
I try to like shut them out. I try to think positive, and I try to do something else. Like the moment those thoughts come into my mind, I just immediately try to do something that requires me to concentrate, you know, and to really focus. Like cooking for me, that had really, because like I don't want to burn my food, right? Or like or trying a new skill or something like that, you know, so that like my mind is just I'm like concentrating on doing something other than it just staring at the wall and having all these thoughts come to me. But yeah, definitely those negative thoughts come. I mean, it is a very difficult time to be alive right now, so
Yeah,
yeah.
survival is key right now. Like surviving right now is the biggest achievement all of us can have, and it's important to appreciate that. So, talking about a really difficult time, would you like to share an account of your life where you felt like you hit a rock bottom? And like, if you had that in your past, then were you able to get out of it? And if you were, then how were you able to get out of it? Would you like to talk about these things with me?
Yeah, definitely. When I was in school, I still have it. I had a mustache.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just been a hairy kid because that's in my genes, right? And I just remember being bullied by teenage boys and even girls, you know, being like, "Uy, त्यसको त केटाको जस्तै जुङ्गा छ यार," and stuff like that. And at the point I am in life right now, it really doesn't affect me because I have learned to not base my worth on how I look, and that it's okay to have facial hair because like everybody has facial hair, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's normal. But like at that point I was just this 13, 14-year-old girl, and these things really like made me feel so insecure. I would just come home and just cry. I mean, there were all these Shuvadara secret groups and whatnot, and I remember reading a post about myself that said, "Oh, Bivusha has more mustaches than any other guy in Shuvadara," and I remember crying because I was like, well, why? Like, why are you doing this? You know? And that was really hard, just being bullied because I didn't fit into like the normal beauty standards, and you know, looking for approval from guys and thinking that like their approval was all I needed to feel good about myself, you know. So that was a really difficult time, yeah. And I've just learned to be more accepting of who I am now, and to think of like body fat, body hair, all of those things as normal things, and to
Yeah,
not let
yeah.
it get to me anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, also to be like body neutral and stuff, like not to think that to be a girl in this world, like being pretty is like a tax I have to pay or something, or that I always have to look what they want, you know, what they consider to be beautiful in order to be accepted or anything like that. So it definitely helps that I have this mindset now. And I wish I could
Mm-hmm.
tell my teenage self that, like, don't listen to them, you know, you're more than how you look, and you look fine and it's normal and stuff. But I didn't think like that. I let all these voices get to my head, and it was definitely a difficult time. I remember crying to my mom saying, I don't want to go to school. They just tease me all the time and stuff like that. But yeah, and definitely I want to say that having a good support system, like having wonderful friends around, really helps. Like I have the bestest friends in the world. Shout out to them. They just make me feel so confident and make me feel so loved for who I am. And they are just these group of girls that I can go to no matter what situation I am in, you know, whether it's a breakup or whatever, and they just uplift me. And it's just so nice to have a group of people that are like that. And I'm so thankful. So
Yeah.
thankful for that. So yeah.
Female friendship is a wonderful gift. Like, no matter what society tells you, female friendship is important and vital for like everyone. And I don't think anyone should be deprived of that.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, our society really does emphasize on bringing women down, whether it's like men or women, just bringing each other down, you know, and having unity and friendship amongst like females and female friendship, like you said, it's incredible. I mean, even I grew up thinking that, you know, um, I was to be jealous of another girl who was like prettier than me or got more male attention, or like, you know,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it was like the male attention. Definitely, it was like how do I act like the cool girl? You know, I'm not like other girls. I'm the cool girl. How do I become that? Like, no, girl, like you do whatever you want. Like you don't have to be the you don't exist to please anyone, you know, and your worth is not based on that. So yeah, yeah. It's very nice to have girls that uplift you instead of pitting against each other, and yeah.
Yeah, that is important. So, talking about our society, what do you think, like, is our society's stand on mental health right now?
Honestly, I think it's kind of hypocritical. Like talking about my own med school, there's this thing that goes on in med school called ragging, which is basically bullying. And it's considered normal that like the seniors are going to bully the juniors because apparently the juniors need to be set in their right place, and it's a practice that is, I think, more severe towards men, definitely, because they have it harder than us girls do, from my own personal experience and from my friends telling me that they do the shit out of these juniors, you know? So yeah, that happens, and I'm sure it will still happen. But ever since, and God bless his soul and rest in peace, Sushant Singh Rajput died, I've had a lot of friends and seniors posting about, you know, mental health awareness, and like, if you feel like you're down, talk to someone and all of that. And I'm glad, you know, it's kind of sad that it takes the death of such a big celebrity to cause awareness among people. But if that awareness is there, I'm glad that they are more aware. But at the same time, I hope it's not just like for, you know, like getting likes or like being relevant. And I hope that the whole ragging thing, which is bullying and is hampering the mental health of so many people, doesn't exist anymore. You know, like
Hmm.
these people that are preaching mental health, and they're like, well, these protests and these not protests, I'm sorry, what was it? Oh, these competitions, mental health awareness competitions, like poetry competitions and posters and stuff. And I've had friends and people from my college participate in that. I just hope it's like an actual cleansing of the mind and being more aware rather than just doing it for the sake of it. And I hope the
Hmm.
whole ragging thing in med school comes to an end. It's a really bad practice, and it would be kind of hypocritical to be like, yeah, mental health matters and mental health is important, but then to
Yeah.
just go back to med school and go back to ragging and go back to bullying. And yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
we should, yeah, it shouldn't just happen because it's being relevant right now, you know. It should be like an actual habit, an actual way of thinking, that mental health is health as much as physical health is health.
Hmm.
And yeah, it just shouldn't be for the likes and the and being popular and relevant and whatnot, you know.
Yeah, that's really important. And I feel like us as a generation are at the front line of this whole problem. And we are the ones who need to understand this more than anyone else right now, because we're the ones who are posting on social media almost every single day that,
Yeah.
hey, your mental health matters, you matter, come talk to me. But
Yes.
like it's not okay if we're just saying those things and we don't actually mean it. It's going to
Mean
be
them.
counterproductive. So coming to being able to talk to people, what are your thoughts on counseling?
Oh, very positive. Very positive. I think that talking is therapy, especially when you can talk to someone who understands you, like a counselor or a dear friend or your mom or whoever that is for you. You know, it like letting that load off your chest is everything. You know, you when you know that you're not the only one feeling like that, or that your feelings are valid and it's okay to not be okay. It just it's such it's very relieving. And yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know how to put this, like, get that load off your chest. And like, it's such a relief. It's such a relief to be able to talk to someone and tell them how you feel, and to know that it's okay to feel like that, and to
yeah,
not think that, like, you know, because you can get paranoid thinking, oh my God, like I'm the only one thinking like this, and you know, why am I the only one, or like,
yeah.
"Malay matra kiन यस्तो सोचाइरहेछ?" But then to know that other people feel that way, or to know that your feelings are valid, is everything.
It is important. So, talking about having your feelings validated and not feeling alone in a situation, what do you think is like the stand of mental health, and how do you think like our society by and large perceives mental health?
I think that our society still has a long way to go for mental health. And I feel like I said, counseling, I mean, it helps you cope with your feelings. Like, of course they're valid, but also to know, like, how can you feel better, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's still the stigma about going to therapy, about going to counseling. I mean, I remember I was a first year med student, and our teacher, this is my own personal experience, obviously, our teacher was like, we have a counselor um, available at all times, you know, at the
Yeah.
hospital, and you all can always go to him and talk to him about your feelings. And if that doesn't work out, we also have a psychiatry ward, and you guys can go there. You know, don't ever feel like you're alone, because med school is difficult. And if you ever feel like you need to talk to someone, there's someone there, right? And I remember me and this other girl, and I have so much respect for her, we're the only ones who are not laughing. Like, everyone was just there laughing, like it was a joke or something, you know, like, ha, ko dansa testo ma, ha, type ko, like, you know, like, oh, psycho type ko, like, it was, I was baffled, you know, I was like, why are you all laughing? Like, it's not funny. What if there is someone here who needs to go to counseling? Like, how will they feel seeing all of you laughing? You know, it was a really weird experience. So I mean, yeah, like, maybe those conversations happen behind closed doors, maybe they don't, but there, it's like, psycho boy, psycho, it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are the type of words they use, and yeah, that definitely needs to change. Counseling is normal, therapy is normal, and it's okay to not be okay. And I'm sorry about that. Whoa, sorry about that. It's okay to not be okay, and I feel like counseling should really be normalized. And I'm sure that, like, as my friends have gone through med school more, and now we're in third year, I'm sure their thoughts have changed, and their take on mental health has changed, as far as I've seen their posts on social media and everything. And I definitely believe that people can change, and that as you learn, you know, your opinions and your stands on certain things can change as
Mm-hmm.
you grow as a person. So I'm definitely hoping that their stand has changed on this, but like, that was my experience 3 years ago, and
Yeah.
it was really sad. I think we need to normalize it a lot more, you know, and especially, I also want to talk about men's mental health, because they're always told to man up, and that is just so, yeah. So I think that in terms of men's mental health, telling them to man up is so demeaning, and it just invalidates their feelings, and it invalidates their mental health problems, and really just pushes them over the edge. You know,
Yeah.
we need to, as a society, accept that men also have mental health issues, and it's okay. Like, they don't need to be strong all the time, you know, they can be weak. We shouldn't expect them to always be the strong one, and to, like, never cry and stuff. Like, you can cry, you know, crying is such a way to, like, get out your feelings. It's such a relief, you know, so you should be able to cry. And I really think the stand on men's mental health really does need to change, because it's so sad that they don't feel like they can go to counseling or talk about their feelings, because they've grown up, you know, hearing that those feelings are girly, or that they should man up, and men don't cry, men don't get sad, men are strong, you know, and nobody can be strong all the time. So yeah.
Yeah, that is quite important. And I like hope that our society as a whole, as a collective, starts to realize that sooner before we have more casualties. So we're coming towards the end of this conversation, and I just have like one last question for you. So the question is that what would be the ideally but realistic conditions for your mental health to be at a stable or like at a good point of view? Like, well, ideal but realistic conditions for your own mental health.
I think that, like, it would probably be graduating from med school and, like, being independent and having my own job. I think that's one point where I imagine myself just being very happy, because I've just been someone who craves independence a lot. You know that. And yeah, med school is definitely a stressor. So, like, being done with that, and maybe moving on to a field that, you know, even within medicine, a field that sparks a lot of joy in me, and furthering my career and actually being able to do work, like hands-on work, and earning money and being independent, all of that, all of those things. I think that would be a very ideal situation for me, because right now I'm just like, it's more like theoretical learning. I haven't really been able to get some hands-on experience, and yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. So we have come to the end of our in conversation with Bivusha, and before we part, I would like to ask you, do you want to say anything else to us, like a last parting message or something like that?
I just want to say that, like, I hope nobody feels alone in their feelings, and that, like, it's okay, especially during this difficult time, to not feel your best. Like, don't be so hard on yourself, you know, take a break when you have to, and, like, it's okay not to be okay, you know. And I hope that you find someone to talk to about your feelings, or if you can't talk to someone about your feelings, then you find other ways to cope with your feelings, and that you know that your feelings are valid, that it's okay.
Yeah, that is so important. Thank you, Bivusha, for giving us a really positive message for today. And with that, we'll be ending this conversation. Bye bye.
Bye.